This is the Power Platform Daily Brief for Monday, May 13th, 2019. I'm Joel Lindstrom, and this is what you need to know about the Power Platform today in 10 minutes or less. Our first story is Microsoft published the release notes for Project Service Automation Update Release 7. This mainly fixes some issues with the previous release. Update prices on project estimates, creates an inaccurate calculation of project labor tracking remaining hours, missing submit requests and recall request button on resource requirement subgrid. A required field cannot be empty error on name field appears when quote and contract line main forms are loaded, and several other fixes. So to get this release, you need to update it in the Admin Center for Dynamics 365 Online. Next, Service Update 52 for Dynamics 365 version 9.1 is coming out this week. And this repairs some functionality that might not be working right for you. Phone calls and tasks marked complete in Dynamics 365 reopened automatically. The Flow widget stopped functioning when CRM workflows contained XML special characters. Web client editable grids incorrectly evaluated min-max values when the user's formats use commas for decimals. And there's several errors that are fixed. Jobs for a custom workflow failed with an error. An error occurred when adding multiple title nodes for same locale ID. An error occurred when filtering a bound dashboard on a blank date. A number of other things. Unexpected behavior fixed is the date time filter sent dates to the server with the user format instead of the server format. And appointments copied in Outlook modified the original appointments in CRM instead of creating a new appointments. So that will be coming to you automatically this week from Microsoft. The big story is that owner, customer, and regarding fields are now supported in Canvas apps. This came out over the weekend, or actually late on Friday, and caused much rejoicing with me and other people who have been frustrated by this limitation of Canvas apps. So if you don't know what a polymorphic lookup field is, it's basically a lookup field that can look up to multiple entities. The most common of these are the owner field, which could be a user or a team, the customer field, which should be an account or contact, and the regarding, which could be almost any entity. So if you ever tried to build an appointment app, for example, or create a gallery filter to show someone just their records, you couldn't do it. You had to do some kind of trickery, like create some what we call shadow fields, either text field or another lookup that you would use in your Canvas app, and maybe have a process that updated this field. So this is really good news because this removes the number one blocker for some kinds of Canvas apps. And for example, the My Views. If you want to have a view that you just show records that somebody owns, it's very easy to do in Dynamics and the Common Data Service, but unfortunately that was not available. Now the frustrating thing, for people who had started on the Dynamics 365 connector for Power Apps was we used to be able to do it with the D365 connector, but it had never been added to the Common Data Services connector. There's also some nice things about related activities. So you can access the list of activities regarding a record. You can access the list of notes regarding a record. Now, if you use Dynamics, you know that there's a couple different places where you can see not just directly regarding records, but you can also see related regarding. So if you've got an account and you've got contacts that have activities regarding them, you can roll them up to the parent. That doesn't appear to be there yet, but this is a vast improvement. I predict this will make additional people warm up to Power Apps because it's very frustrating to not be able to do some things that are just very easy to do. So what you need to know about this is there are a few limitations. I'll put the link in the show notes here. Biggest limitation I see is this feature is a preview feature and it's not yet available from forms. So you can put a custom control on there and you can write the data back to the CDS via patch command, but it's not quite as simple as other types of controls. There's no way to change the polymorphic lookup value from a form control. We are actively working to close these gaps. But again, it's a great thing, and you should now be able to filter your views as well as update polymorphic lookup fields. Now you have to know as well that a polymorphic lookup field can be different types of records. So when you update it, you have to not only update the lookup field, you also have to update the type field. The Power Apps Canvas App Accessibility Guidelines white papers come out. So with Canvas apps being a blank canvas that you can basically do whatever you want with, there's a lot of potential there that you might build an app that doesn't meet accessibility standards for people with disabilities. And accessibility is very important. So Microsoft has published a white paper that documents some best practices about accessibility standards for Power Apps. I recommend you download that white paper, and make your Canvas apps more accessible. And the final story for today is you can now add new fields in line when you're creating your Canvas app. Something that we've been able to do in model-driven apps and Dynamics for a long time, but say you need a field and you're building a common data service-based app, you can now, from the designer, inline create new fields. So this should make you even more productive if you're creating Canvas apps from Common Data Service. So great news all around for makers and people making Canvas apps, making our lives better by supporting new field types, as well as making it easier for us to create these new fields. This has been the Power Platform Daily Brief for Monday, May 13th, 2019. I'm Joel Lindstrom. Power on.